You come on when I catch hell because I love you. I get least of you. I get the very minimum. And I'm saying, fake it with me. Is that too much of the black woman to ask of the black man?
Hey guys, welcome to a new episode.
We can't have one serious intro.
Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of Unboxed. Today we're talking about the growing differences in relationship between black men and black women. But before we get into that, I just want to go through introductions.
Hey, I'm Deanne.
Sandile.
Abby. Delphina. Holly.
I'm Kaden.
Zach.
Shadi.
Tunji.
Lily.
Tigist.
And I'm your host, David. So, I wanted to bring up this topic because obviously we're seeing a lot of debate going on online, especially, obviously on social media about kind of the relationships and kind of the differences between black men and black women. Obviously, the men are trash movement is it's going strong. It's going strong. And there are legitimate issues being brought up with that moniker, but I still think that there are directions that the debate is going which have become sort of unproductive. And so I was kind of wanting to talk about that with you guys and to see, and ladies as well, and to see what you think about it. The main question that I want to ask is that are black men and women growing more apart now than ever?
Right. I wouldn't even call it separation. I think, as someone who spends a lot of time on Twitter, men are trash, men ain't shit is a pretty big deal. So I think if I'm understanding correctly, it's more about how both sides have villainized each other.
Yeah.
Where it feels like it's a constant competition to kind of try to prove that we are better than, or we're just as good, but you don't see us. Mm-hmm. So it's a constant struggle to prove to the other.
Mm. So that's absolutely it.
Yeah. I feel like there's a historical context to that.
There is, absolutely.
Yeah.
So are we talking, to clarify, are we talking in North America, or are we talking outside North America? There's a couple of different...
Maybe perception, because I feel like it trickles down. Still.
Yeah, both.
Patriarchy is global, so...
Yeah, well, the reason I ask is because there is an idea of marrying white as a status symbol sometimes, or dating a white person or something like that. If we're talking about attraction, which it seems to be one of the big things we're talking about right now, there's this idea of it being a status symbol. The idea, because there was a point where, of course, black people could only be with each other for various reasons, whether that's geographical or whether that's slavery and Jim Crow laws and all of these things. And then as those have lifted, there's this idea of marrying outside your race or being with someone outside your race can be a status symbol or is better than being with people who are the same race as you. I've seen that happen a lot. I know that I have come up against that and I love the idea of black love, but then felt like it was unattainable for me, for the circles that I was in, just in interests that I've gotten from men. I didn't end up marrying a black man. I am very happily married to my husband, and I think he's the right guy for me, but I noticed this separation, no, black men aren't interested in me.
So do you think in your marriage, do you think it's affected your, do you think it's had an impact on, your own blackness or your support for black people?
Being married to a white man?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so right there, right? Do you think then that's sort of, because I see that there's kind of this quickness within people to jump and say, especially with black men. And I'm not going to say that there aren't cases. There are many cases where, yes, when black men do, find white women, they do turn around and start bashing, especially black women. So that happens, and I fully acknowledge that. But do you think that it's sort of, there's been a loss of perspective in how quickly people are to jump and say that, Michael B. Jordan only dates white women, so he hates black women, or he's not pro-black. Donald Glover, only is married to an Asian woman, so he's not pro-black. What? Don't you feel like there's sort of this So, especially it's amplified by social media.
Well, I feel like I was worried about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as someone who has worked in activist spaces, being pro-black, are people going to think, oh, I'm not pro-black love now? Or are people going to think she's not for the black family, or any of those things? And I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I think that I agree with you. A lot of nuance has been lost.
Mm-hmm.
I can't talk for anyone else but myself, because I don't know their situations. I know mine. I think I'm the same person who fights for racial equality that I always have. I just happened to fall in love and find a partner in life in a white man. Honestly, straight up, like, and he knows this, I was looking for a black man. Like, my focus was, I'm gonna date a black man, and I'm gonna be with a black man. And the person that I believe God brought me ended up being white. Like, that was a hard thing for us to have to figure out, like, and change my mindset. But I don't think that makes me any less pro-black, and I don't think you can honestly ascribe that to someone. But however, the historical things, like, we've seen black women fight for black men.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? Even if we look at activist spaces, right? Often, black men get shot by the police or gets treated badly. Women rise up, start a movement, start something, start things moving. Like, we see in these big public spaces that black women have been for black men. Mm-hmm. But in those same spaces, we have not seen black men before black women.
Well, it is interesting. Like, I think there is a truth to it, because, like, I work and I perform at this place called the Improv Center in Granville Island, and I go there often to watch shows, and, like, the audiences are mostly white, but, like, every now and again some black people will show up, and, like, most of the time when a black dude rolls up and he has a date, it is a white woman, like, not even like any other race, like, specifically a white woman, and it is a really interesting thing to observe. And I've tried to, like, rack in my brain of, like, you know, like, why that could possibly be. My theory is that, you know, maybe, like, this black man, he's grown up around, like, black women. He might have, like, black sisters. He might have black women who he really, really respects. He knows that maybe there's, like, and I hate to put that on, like, you know, these people, because, like, maybe that's the person that they're in love with, but, like, maybe they know, like, instinctively that there's a level of accountability that comes with being with a black woman, which is supposed to, like, other races. Maybe they can, like, you know, mess around maybe just a little bit more, because you can't get away with, for example, like, the sexual stereotypes that black men have, and, you know, you can't, like, sort of, like, make your way, like, riding on that. You kind of have to, like, you know, be, like, an accountable person. But, like, that's just sort of, like, a half-baked theory that I have in my head that could be a possibility. But you know, like, just, you don't even have to, like, look far to observe it. Like, you know, like, every time, like, most of the time a black dude rolls in to this theater, it's, like, with a white girl. So, and I don't know why that is.
I think a big part is, like, a word that you said, something within my circle. We have to acknowledge, like, we are sitting in, like, Western Canada, Vancouver, right? So, like, anyone watching this online, like, when I think about my, you know, communities that I've, you know, visited in parts of LA or in Chicago or, like, Jackson, Mississippi, like, that's very different groups, right? So it's a different conversation when you have, like, okay, who, like, first of all, like, this room, this is all of your black friends in Vancouver. Not really, but, like, kind of, right?
Almost.
So just, like, being mindful of, like, okay, where are the spaces that each of us are coming from anyways, because to be honest, like, a lot of me feels unqualified to have a lot of thoughts on this topic, just because I grew up as a mixed, light-skinned person in Calgary, Alberta. So I say that, like, my black experience is very learned in a sense. In, like, I didn't grow up around a lot of black people. So, like, when I was younger, I never pictured myself marrying, you know, or, like, dating a black person just because there wasn't many black people. There was literally one other black guy in my junior high, and kids would always say, oh, have you ever thought about dating so-and-so? And I always knew why they were saying it, which would drive me nuts. But, so, yeah, I just think, like, the circles, like, that's really important to recognize, like, who's around, right? You didn't marry a white person because you are anti-black love. You married that person because you loved them. Yeah. Period. Also, how many black people were around you in your pool that would have, like, statistically likely even been options for you? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, whereas if you're like, oh, I live in, like, the south side of Chicago, like, most people that you're going to interact with are people of color. So therefore, like, your pool of who you know what I mean? So it's like a different conversation. I feel like almost if we were having this conversation in the States, and it's also like also so many of us are like seem to be of African, like straight African descent, right? Whereas I like grew up in Canada. It's like so many different perspectives and kind of circles, I guess, too.
This is not something that I personally believe, but I'm going to put all the disclaimers on this because I don't even necessarily subscribe to this, but is the feeling that there are certain characteristics or stereotypes that have been attached to black women in the sense of they're aggressive, they're angry, they're and again, I don't believe this. This is not something that I subscribe to, but I'm just repeating these stereotypes. They're
loud, ghetto,
all these different things, right? Whereas with other races, you're more likely to find women who are more submissive, right? And so because of that, black men seek that. They don't want, I saw, I was watching something and the man was like, no one wants another mother. Something like that, right? And these are all, these are all terrible stereotypes, but it's this idea why some black men look outside of their race because they feel like, they're going, if they find a black woman, like they're going to have to deal with these things which are based on nothing, right? So go ahead, Dia.
Yeah, I was going to add up on that, I guess. I think Serena Williams, I think we were talking about that, was put on blast about why she married a white man, all these things. I think another factor is African women, they don't feel appreciated or valued. So when an African man, they come into the relationship, they want to be dominant. And then a lot of us, or a lot of people, they are raised in a single mother. So they're raised, so they see that as a woman you have to really hustle, you have to be strong, blah, blah, blah. So that stereotypical about women being aggressive or being dominant as well, or wanting to also be a man, I think that is the reason why African women we're not aggressive. We don't tolerate a lot of things. Right? And people shouldn't condemn us for that because we just want love and respect and to be valued. So that's key.
I think with some, at least with women being sorry.
Oh,
I feel like with some women of color who are upset, black women are upset with black men that end up dating another race because, personally, I felt like I was more accepted by a black man than somebody else from a different race. I felt like they understood me and I didn't have to try hard. It's just there's some type of connection that was different from everybody else. And so it feels like we don't get picked after if you look at the minorities, we're the minorities of the minorities. And so basically you just feel hurt, it's like you could have picked any other black girl and instead you picked somebody else who's already maybe more desirable in other people's eyes. And so I feel like maybe that's why women attack men who are black, like Donald Glover, etc.
Yeah. Let the black woman speak.
This issue with black women is deep. It's deeper than just saying, what we're saying is all valid, but then we have to even break it down further because we also have black, dark-skinned women, hello, and light-skinned black women. And from time, even when you look at the media, all around us, social media, advertisements, it's always been to celebrate the lighter skin. And we don't need to go into the history because we all pretty much have that background check, right? So it's moving from that and developing from that. Now we're in a season where, black women are, slowly trying to be celebrated, but at the same time, that stigma is still there. So it's hard for people to understand that, she's a black woman and she's, this is who she is, her character. And so you find that black women build on so many other things because their beauty isn't always celebrated. So you find that it's if my beauty is not going to be celebrated, I'm going to be intelligent, I'm going to have all of this, I'm going to achieve, they go above and beyond. So when you meet black women, you meet a lot of, successful black women as well because they've had to push, like work twice as hard to get to where they are. So then when they get to that point, a guy meets them and is like, whoa, this is a lot for me to handle. But it's like, she's had to do a lot to get there, right? So it now takes a man who can see the beauty in that to be like, you know what, I celebrate that.
And to add on to that, I think I'm seeing that because those are absolutely true. Yes. First of all, just strict numbers as well. A lot more Black women are finishing post university education and all of that than Black men. And I'm seeing now that more and more Black women, dark-skinned Black women especially, are saying that I'm going to stop doing the emotional labor of making myself appealing to Black men. I'm going to start looking outside. It's slowly happening because it's still a majority Black men who do look outside, but it's beginning to happen. And I think that there's a shift, and Tunja, I'll go to you next, so I'm going to get your thoughts on this, but I think there's a shift now where Black men are now beginning to realize that, oh wait, y'all not gonna let us be trashed anymore. Do something, and now we're beginning to feel like, oh no, like it's happening, like there's really right? And because it was unconscious, right? We didn't realize that it's really been Black women who have been upholding the Black community, who have been staying and taking care of kids and have allowed us to do whatever we want. And now that it's beginning to happen slowly, we're not realizing we're not going like, oh no. What are we going to do when y'all are gone, right? So